The second paragraph, we said no doubt electoral offences remain a significant threat to credible, free, fair election in Nigeria.
Distinguished colleagues, Senator Utazi, please leave Senator Degi alone. Please, the chamber is too noisy, please. Let's listen to the chairman. Please, you may discuss in low tones. You may continue, chairman.
Attention, sir. Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, my distinguished colleagues. Order! No doubt, electoral offences remain a significant threat to credible, free, and fair elections in Nigeria, where elections heighten political tensions and trigger violence. Electoral laws violations have criticized elections in Nigeria from 1999 to the present day. These violations include inclusion of fictitious names in the register of voters, and illegal compilation of voters lists, illegal printing and possession of voters card, illegal possession of voters card, illegal possession of ballot boxes, multiple voting, underage voting, ballot box snatching, etc. No doubt electoral offences breed poor quality, corrupt and violent political leadership. Where electoral offences thrive, election riggers take control of government contrary to the electoral wings, and this progressively leads to apathy that ultimately disengages the voters from the political process. The current justice system for electoral offences is weak because INEC, which is saddled with overseeing the electoral process, is the same body saddled with prosecuting electoral offenders. However, the power of INEC to prosecute is activated by recommendations by tribunals handling an election petition. Specifically, Section 149 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended provides that the Commission shall consider any recommendation made to it by tribunal with respect to the prosecution by it of any person for an offence disclosed in an election petition. Furthermore, Section 152 of the Act provided that a prosecution under this Act should be undertaken by legal officers of the Commission or by any legal practitioner appointed by it. This makes it obvious that INEC has less than 100 legal officers does not possess the capacity to cope with the prosecution of electoral offences committed at various levels of elections across the 1,019,973 polling units, 8,809 wards, 774 local governments, 109 senatorial districts, and 36 presidential federal constituencies and by-elections. Mr. President, the challenges facing INEC in the electoral process do not permit it face another battle of prosecution of electoral offenders. This accounts for just a few convictions of electoral offences in the realms of criminal litigations in Nigeria. Also, the above underscores the necessity for an active justice system for the prosecution of electoral offenders, which remains critical in ensuring decreases in the level of electoral impunity and reversal in the persistent trend of electoral offences. The above background necessitates establishing a commission to be charged with investigating electoral offences and prosecution of electoral offenders in Nigeria. This is strengthen Nigerians' electoral process and ensure credible elections. The bill seeks the establishment of the National Electoral Offences Commission and to make adequate deterrents and sanctions for undemocratic process in our electoral environment. Decision deterrents through efficient criminal prosecution and the strategy for detecting electoral offenders. To this end, Section 143, 149, and 152 of the Electoral Act 2010 is amended respectively best INEC with the discretion and powers to prosecute alleged electoral offenders. For clarity, both sections provide as follows. Section 149, the Commission shall consider any recommendation made it by tribunal with respect to the prosecution by it any person for an offense disclosed on any election petition. Section 150, a prosecution under this Act shall be undertaken by legal officers of the Commission, (INEC), or any legal practitioner appointed by it. My distinguished colleagues, the working of Section 149 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, INEC is not clearly enabled to prosecute alleged offenders unless otherwise determined by a tribunal. By the foregoing statistics, it is unrealistic to expect INEC to conduct free, fair, and credible elections and simultaneously prosecute offenders arising from the same election. Indeed, INEC has at several occasions admitted that it lacks her wherewithal to cleanse the system. Its failure to prosecute even 1% out of 870,000 and over 900,000 alleged electoral offences in 2011 and 2015 general election, respectively, is an affirmation of the necessity for a paradigm shift on how we deal with electoral offences. Mr. President, you may wish to recall that as a result of electoral flaws in the system, several committees relating to electoral offences were set up, among which includes Justice Awaisu's Electoral Committee, Sheikh Nuruddin Lemu Committee, Constitution and Electoral Reform. In this final report, the committee recommends that for INEC to function effectively, some of the functions currently performed by it should be assigned to other agencies. All offences committed within the electoral contest should be prosecuted expeditiously. Therefore, a special prosecutory body to be known as Electoral Offences Commission should be established to work independently in arrangement and prosecution of electoral offenders. The bill contains 7 parts, Mr. President, with 46 clauses and address the following areas. Part 1 of the bill, clause 1 to 5, establish the National Electoral Offences Commission. Part 2, clause 6 to 7, provide for the functions of the Commission. Part 3, clause 8 to 11, codifies electoral offences. Part 4, clause 12 to 32, stipulates courts in which electoral offences will be tried. Part 5, clause 33, special powers of the courts. Part 6, clause 34 to 36, covers the financial provision of the bill, and part 7, clause 37 to 46, is miscellaneous provision, Mr. President. During our public hearing, Mr. President, the committee held a public
Chairman, we don't need to read public hearing. I think we can go to the next. Public hearing, we know what happened. Or if you have something very...
It's the recommendations we got during public hearing which were included in the bill. So if I can read through with their permission. The committee held a public hearing on 28 April 2021 to collect and collate members or the public and collate inputs from stakeholders on the bill. Prior to the hearing, the committee placed adverts calling on all interested stakeholders and members on the public to submit memorandum on issues concerned related to the Electoral Offences Commission. The submission memorandum and oral presentation received covered the following areas among others, which some of these recommendations were included in the bill, sir. Alignment with the national gender policy or campaign for 35% affirmative action for women in all elective appointed posts. Recommend that the Commission fund budgetary appropriation and gifts to be struck out. Prohibition of hate speech fine for 20 million to 40 million. The tenure of the Secretary should be increased by 1 year ahead of the Chairman. Card-carrying members of political parties should not be appointed into the Commission. Publication of all the records of electoral offenders investigated and prosecuted. Undue influence should include inducing, and compelling. Number H, membership of the Commission should include Federal Safety Corps, Ministry of Women Affairs, representation from the civil society group. I, establishment of special court for quick dispensation of justice and reduce the burden on Federal High Court or State High Court or FCT. J, adopting the recommendation of Justice West Electoral Committee, Sheikh Nuruddin Limu report on electoral violence and 2014 National Conference and Constitution and Electoral Reform Committee. Recommendation, Mr. President. Recommends for the establishment of Electoral Offences Commission. In conclusion, Mr. President, the committee sincerely expresses its appreciation to President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawan, Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished leaders of the leadership of the Senate, and members of the Committee on INEC, and the entire Senate for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. It is my hope that the Senate will approve the recommendation for the establishment of the Electoral Offences Commission. I so move. Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, I rise to second reading this very important bill. Number one, our electoral process need to be sanitized. Attempts have been made in the past. As far back as 2007, immediately after the election of President Muhammadu Musa Yar'Adua, he promised to set up this commission. Recommendations were made, and unfortunately, when the bill came to the National Assembly, it was killed. Another attempt was also made in 2011. Again, it failed. 2015, I think there was no attempt to even set up, the commission. Mr. President, the Ninth Assembly is about to make another landmark achievement by making sure that we pass the Electoral Offences Commission bill into law. If we do that, it will go a long way in sanitizing the electoral process. It will obviously stop election rigging or minimize election rigging, ballot stuffing, killing people because of political power, which we all witness, maiming, destroying public property. So, Mr. President, this is a very important bill. Our electoral process is going to be enhanced. But right now, the process where election rigging is allowed to take place, your vote doesn't count. People will just sit and write result anyhow and declare it. And INEC doesn't have the capacity to really prosecute. And there is need to unbundle it. And the only way we can unbundle INEC is to set up the Electoral Offences Commission. If we do that, Mr. President, Nigeria will enter into the Committee of Nations, where there is credible election that is accepted worldwide. And once the winner is announced, there will be no need for even litigation, because it will be seen that the winner has won the election fair and square, and no need to go at...
Some of you may round up, please.
Important bill, and I urge my colleague to do the same. Thank you very much.
Distinguished colleagues, this is not going to be second reading. Clauses 28 to 44 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion that Electoral Offences Commission Establishment Bill 2021 be now read the third time.
Minority Leader. Minority Leader.
All politicians. Crookish politicians.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues,
No, it's good.
those in favor that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act established the National Electoral Offences Commission and for related matters 2021 SB 220, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish the National Electoral Offences Commission and for related matters 2021, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Well, congratulations to the Senate. Like Senator Mohammed Adamalaru said in his submission, this is yet again another landmark legislation that this Senate has been able to pass, breaking the jinx and the demons are defeated too here. And this is one sure way of keeping offenders responsible and accountable for their actions. We believe that this will sanitize our electoral system and process, and we believe that INEC and indeed the state independent electoral commissions will be able to conduct their elections free of violence. Congratulations once again. Leader of the Senate.